The polls are closed. The spring primary is over, and we're talking about voter turnout, and the voters did not turn out. The Dane County clerk telling us he is waiting for 2 smaller wards to report, but right now, turnout at just 4.7%. News 3's David Douglas joins us now with more on that tonight. David.
And he'd predicted 5%, so he was right there, I'll tell you, Eric. Call it democracy in action, as in no action. Turnout today so low, some polling places saw fewer than 30 voters all day long, leaving election workers to pull out the newspaper for something to do. It's the kind of calming quiet that hangs before the polls open. Only today, silence lingered while the polls were open.
My recollection is this is the slowest election that I've ever been a part of.
Among the few visitors to John Grindy's West Side polling place today was Jenny Persha.
As soon as I saw there was no cars, I was like, oh, there's nobody else here. And I got in and they all were very excited. They're like, yay, someone came.
When she cast her ballot just before 2 o'clock, she was only the 15th person to vote since the doors opened.
I know that spring elections are always a little bit slower, but it's sad when nobody wants to come out and give their voice.
With just one appellate court primary on the ballot in most places, no one expected voters to be beating down the doors. But for most of the day, Dane County Clerk Bob Olson didn't have a lot to do.
The election cycle is 4 years, and this is probably the lowest election of the 4-year cycle.
The Government Accountability Board conservatively estimates the appeals court primary cost $500,000. So how does Dane County's clerk feel about eliminating a one-race primary and just voting for everything in April?
And I would be in favor of that. If there's nothing else on the ballot, boy, it makes no sense to have it. And I feel bad for the candidates because they work hard.
Hard work that might just pay off with a little larger turnout later in the spring.
It doesn't matter if there's one issue on the ballot or 100 issues on the ballot. They're all important.
Obviously, most years the spring primary is necessary. You have to have it, for example, in presidential years. But once every 4 years, when you might end up with just that one race on the ballot, there certainly is room for change. It would, though, have to be approved and proposed by the legislature.
So how do voters, or the voter, how'd she feel about the process here today?
Well, obviously, as somebody who's involved in the process and really cares about it, she says, well, there is some room for improvement here, especially if we're spending all this money for a race that so few people, unfortunately, are voting in.
Indeed. David Douglas reporting tonight. David, thank you very much.